This is Be'lakor, the first demon prince of Chaos Undivided. And these are the sprues of Bloodletters. And this is what I'm going to do today. I thought I need some practice in the art of kitbashing with some easy repositioning and sculpting. I guess many of you know that I recently started this journey, and even though I already mastered the Jedi arts, I still need some practice in my kitbashing and sculpting skills, as there is still much to learn. Today I want to Be'lakorify these small demons. So let's see what we can do with these old miniatures. Oh nice, swords to hit around the corner, that's very tactical. Cool concept, somehow not really useful. Move the big pile of bits away and think about the first improvement. At least for me. I cannot stand these elongated tongues, and while I'm sure HR Geiger and Slanesh would love these, I think they do not really fit the Bloodletters aesthetic. The only thing to keep in mind here is not to cut away the chin, as this is really close together. But as I wanted to be as close as possible so one cannot see a glimpse of the tongue anymore, I had to cut here in a very precise manner. And after it snug fit, I went on with cleaning and deburring the upcoming bits with my hobby knife, gluing the spikes onto the torso and started rolling up some green stuff. I placed a small ball of it right where the leg would connect to the torso and tried to match the shape of said torso so it looks as natural as possible. And after that I pressed the leg into the still flexible green stuff so I could place and rotate it around like a 90s action figure. When I found a position that looked somehow natural, I posed the other leg so he gets a more leaned over and aggressive stance. I tried to match the positioning of the legs and smoothen the newly joined with my silicone sculpting tool, and even though I felt confident enough to be able to sculpt a decent looking joint, I wanted to try something different. And while the green stuff hardens for the first bunch of these, I built their really easy bases with these lightweight glass rock-like deco stones. So I tried to sculpt some easy loincloth today, something I dreaded a little but wasn't that complicated in the end. So I laid the green stuff flat on my cutting mat with a little water underneath so it doesn't stick to it, and I rolled it as flat as possible. I cut out some trapezoid-like shapes and used the shorter end of it as the one that's connected to the bloodletter. I carefully shaped it a little bit, trying to match the shape of the bloodletter's groin, and gently pressed it onto him with the side that lay on the cutting mat facing outwards. Because I try not to have my fingerprints showing on these ones. After that I also gently pushed it into shape and tried to represent hanging fabric that forms some folds. I rolled a green stuff sausage and shaped it as a belt-like part for and around his hip. By the way, if you like content like this, seeing what one can do with some miniatures, a little bit of green stuff and paint, I would love to encourage you to leave a like and maybe even a subscription. And I also want to say thank you to all those who have and use the new hype function, as this really helps to bring the content out to other people. So, thanks a lot you guys. I repeat all of these steps again and again, having better results with every one of them. By the way, these loincloths are more or less as thick as the swords of the Bloodletters, so you get a sense of how thick I cut these. After all the Bloodletters had a loincloth for their front and back, I decided to give some of them some extra weapons. And even though their massive swords are quite iconic, I want to see how one would look with an axe, and gave it one of a Slaves to Darkness chosen one. I've just sawn the forearm at the according place to replace it with a Slaves to Darkness Chaos Warriors one. And the Hornblower got a shorter, more natural looking sword as well. So the tactical corner hitting sword was out of the game. For For the banner pole I went for the original one that I just cut slightly shorter, and yet again a Chaos Warriors banner bit. I figured positioning the arms in cooler ways is also a must. I only made sure not to use too much green stuff, since this is a pretty visible area, and if the green stuff was visible from top down, I tried to match the skin texture a little and sculpted it according with some various sculpting tools. And if the sculpting appeared a little bit too rough, I just covered it with some Chaos style shoulder pieces, most of them coming from the old world Chaos Knights. They are a little bit too big for a Bloodletters frame, but I figured if one just squeezes them together, they fit quite well. I also had the idea of giving some of these demonic minions a shield, just to see how it looks, and I think it looks quite cool. I once again salvaged the old world Chaos Warriors, and one of them was happy enough to provide this shield, where I just cut the ball joint off and glued it to the forearm of a Bloodletter. This one also got a halberd of a Chaos Warrior. And I also went a little bit off lore here and gave the leader of the squad a third arm, with a flame on it. For that I cut a pink horror's arm into two and green stuffed it somewhere under the sword wielding one. Rule of cool and all that. I mean, come on, this is pretty cool, right? And to Bellacorify, I truly come up with some stupid words sometimes. Anyway, to Bellacorify them even further, I used some chains. I placed these mostly around their torsos, as these seem to be a little bit empty still. And it also was a realistic way to hold these shoulder guards into place. At least a little more realistic than having it glued onto your shoulder. For the painting I tried to match my Bellacor's theme here, which is black, blue and various hues of purple. I started with dark purple as a general base tone and wet blended myself up to a brighter color, with violet red and skin tone by Vallejo. I aimed for the, let's call them, more sensitive areas of the body, like the chest area, inside of the arms and legs, the face as well as the upper part of the back where it leads to the neck, and left the other areas in Corvus Black for now. And what would a video be without praising my amazing Patreons? This month I will drop a Patreon only video of how I paint the flawless hose. For the horns I used neutral grey and elfic flesh to achieve something like a greyish bone color that still looks somehow alive and not like stones or something. After that I slightly dry brushed the black areas with Corvus Black and a hint of white to brighten the color up to something like an ashen grey maybe. And once that's done, I painted the glowing eyes and the areas around them with Vallejo's turquoise and white, and the fabrics with dark sea blue. And for the eyeballs themselves and the brightest part of the flame, I used a pure white. For the swords I tried to match Bellacor's one, and used dark purple at the one side and turquoise on the other side, and wet blended these together in the middle. I'm not really sure with this color, maybe they will be repainted in a standard iron sword-like manner, as the overall miniature is just a little bit too blue for me now. But anyway, for the armor and weapons trim I used Liberator Gold, and even though it's just a layer paint, it works pretty well to achieve something like a cold, worn down gold, especially with Agrex's Earthshade and a slight dry brush of silver. Which is exactly what I did here as a finishing touch. So what do you think? Was this a cool experiment, or are some of these Demons of Chaos just too old and irredeemable at this point? And should there be something like a shadowy undivided demon other than the Furies? I would love to read your opinion about it. But that's it for today, guys. I hope you have a great weekend and we are going to see each other in the next one.